Kelvin's journey took a significant turn in 2012, as he completed his Nigeria certificate in education. However, he made the deliberate decision to veer away from the education sector and embark on a new path. His determination led him to secure admission to study nursing at the prestigious University of Lagos. The admission process was far from straightforward, as Kelvin had to navigate through intricate connections to finally secure his spot. This experience taught him the importance of perseverance and strategic networking. He had to exploit some connections to be able to get the admission, which was a challenging and humbling experience for him. On a personal note, Kelvin's life was marked by a complex relationship with his girlfriend, with whom he had a child. Their relationship was marred by a contentious incident, one that would forever alter the dynamics of their connection. Kelvin had made a choice that would have far-reaching consequences, one that his girlfriend would never forget. The incident had left an indelible mark on their relationship, causing a rift that would be difficult to bridge. Kelvin had met his girlfriend, a virgin, and after unsuccessfully attempts to lay with her, he made her fall asleep during one of her visits to his place and forced himself on her without her consent. The aftermath of this incident saw Kelvin's girlfriend's further attempt to take legal action against him. However, the issue was eventually resolved, albeit with a profound impact on Kelvin's relationships. The incident led to a rift between Kelvin and his girlfriend, resulting in her ceasing to visit him and eventually stopping her education. This turn of events had a profound effect on Kelvin, leading him to become increasingly introverted. Throughout his Nigeria certificate in education program, Kelvin struggled to form meaningful connections with others, particularly women. His past experiences had left him wary of intimacy, and he found it challenging to trust others. This sense of isolation would continue to shape Kelvin's interactions and relationships in the years to come. As Kelvin navigated his new path in nursing, he couldn't help but reflect on his past choices. He realized that his decisions had consequences, not just for himself, but for those around him. This newfound understanding would serve as a catalyst for growth and change in Kelvin's life. Despite the challenges he faced, Kelvin remained determined to succeed. He threw himself into his studies, determined to make a name for himself in the nursing profession. His hard work and perseverance would eventually pay off, as he began to build a reputation as a skilled and compassionate nurse. As Kelvin embarked on his academic journey at the University of Lagos, he was eager to celebrate this new chapter with his fellow freshmen. They collectively decided to organize a party, choosing the picturesque lagoon front as the ideal venue. The atmosphere was electric, with music pulsating through the air and laughter echoing across the lagoon. Kelvin and his roommate, Corridor, arrived at the venue on time, eager to kick off the festivities. However, their excitement was short-lived, as a group of rough-looking cultists stormed into the party venue. Their menacing presence sent a chill down the spines of the partygoers, and the music came to an abrupt halt. The cultists, whose faces were twisted with malice, issued a stern warning, making it clear that they would not hesitate to use violence to achieve their objectives. They began to round up the partygoers' phones, demanding that they be bailed out with money within a specified time frame. Kelvin and Corridor were devastated. They had no money on them to bail out their phones, and the thought of losing their devices was unbearable. As they watched, some of the female partygoers were coerced into surrendering their phones in exchange for the cultists' twisted favors. The atmosphere was tense, with fear and desperation hanging in the air like a thick fog. In desperation, Kelvin and Corridor turned to Corridor's friend, Felix, who was a 300-level student. Felix had connections with some cultists and might be able to intervene on their behalf. They pleaded with Felix to help them, and he agreed to take them to the cultist base to negotiate the release of their phones. As they arrived at the cultist base, Felix was met with hostility. The cultists were furious that Felix had brought Kelvin and Corridor to their base, and they accused him of being a traitor. The situation quickly escalated, with the cultists turning on Felix and subjecting him to a brutal beating. Kelvin and Corridor watched in horror as their friend was brutalized before their eyes. The cultist leader, a towering figure with a scar above his left eyebrow, turned to them, his eyes blazing with malevolence. He presented them with an ultimatum, making it clear that their phones would only be returned if they agreed to join the cult. Kelvin was appalled. he refused to join the cult, knowing that it would mean surrendering his values and his freedom. But Corridor, perhaps swayed by the cultist intimidation or tempted by the promise of power, showed interest in joining the cult. Kelvin was shocked and disappointed by his friend's decision, but he knew he couldn't change Corridor's mind. As Kelvin walked away from the cultist base, he felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had narrowly escaped the clutches of the cult, but he knew that his friend Corridor was now embroiled in a world of danger and violence. Kelvin vowed to move on with his life, to focus on his studies and build a better future for himself. But he couldn't shake off the feeling that his friend Corridor was now lost forever, trapped in a world of cultism and violence. The incident had left an indelible mark on Kelvin's mind, serving as a stark reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows of the university. He knew that he had to be vigilant, to avoid getting entangled in the web of cultism that seemed to permeate every aspect of university life. As he walked away from the cultist base, Kelvin felt a sense of determination rising up within him. He was determined to succeed, to build a better future for himself, and to avoid the pitfalls that had claimed so many of his peers. However, Kelvin's past continued to haunt him. The memories of his tumultuous relationship with his girlfriend and the incident that had driven them apart lingered, a constant reminder of the consequences of his actions. As the days passed, life on campus seemed to return to a sense of normalcy. The students were preoccupied with preparing for their first semester examinations, and the atmosphere was tense with anticipation. However, beneath the surface, a cauldron of violence and tension was simmering, waiting to erupt. The war between the Black Axe and the Air Lords, two rival cult groups, had been brewing for months. The tension between them was palpable, and it seemed that the slightest spark would set off a chain reaction of violence. Corridor, Kelvin's friend who had joined the Black Axe, was caught in the crossfire. One fateful day, he was brutally killed by members of the Air Lords. The news of Corridor's death sent shockwaves through the campus. Kelvin was devastated, and the pain of losing his friend was almost too much to bear. The war between the two cult groups escalated, with several other students losing their lives in the violence. The Black Axe leader, who had been instrumental in Corridor's initiation, was also killed in the clashes, along with several other members of both cult groups. The students were gripped by fear, and the atmosphere on campus was tense and foreboding. Despite the danger, the examinations went ahead, with students writing their papers in a state of high anxiety. After the examinations, the school authorities declared a holiday, hoping to diffuse the tension and allow the students to calm down. Kelvin and Felix, still reeling from the loss of their friend, decided to pay a visit to Corridor's parents to offer their condolences. It was during this visit that Kelvin discovered that Corridor was an only child, and his father was a pastor. The weight of this revelation hit Kelvin hard, and he felt a deep sense of pain and loss wash over him. Kelvin's experience had taught him that cults do not provide freedom or protection. Instead, they strip away the little freedom one has, leaving them trapped in a world of violence and intimidation. As Kelvin embarked on a journey to relocate and start anew, he couldn't help but caution others against the dangers of cultism. He knew that his story was not unique, that many others had fallen prey to the same false promises and empty allure. Kelvin's hope was that his experience would serve as a warning, a testament to the devastating consequences of cultism. The message was clear: cultism offers nothing but destruction, fear, and bondage. It takes away the freedom to live life on one's own terms, to make choices without fear of retribution. Kelvin's story was a stark reminder that the only true freedom comes from living a life free from the shackles of cultism. The warning was simple yet profound: say no to cultism, and choose a life of true freedom and fulfillment.